Hi, my name is Neil Hetherington, and I have the awesome privilege of being the CEO of the Daily Bread Food Bank. On behalf of our board of directors and staff, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for learning all about the picking of food that is done every single day here at this organization. With your volunteer help, we are going to make sure that everybody's right to food is realized.
Hi, my name's Connie. I'm here at the Daily Bread Food Bank, and I'm very excited to show you how our order picking goes here. First off, we're going to grab a scanner. On the scanner, you'll see a screen that asks for a sign-in. The sign-in, both the username and the password appear on the front of the cabinet. You're going to key in any of the usernames or any of the passwords to get into our screen. So a screen will come up with the first letter. You can just tap that. Password exactly the same. We use our backspace key if you make a mistake, and enter. And we're ready to start. Let's go get a skid. So now you're going to pick up a pump truck. They're right beside the order desk, lined up here. Follow me, we're going to pick up a skid. You will find your skids over in the first aisle here, between aisles A and B. These are the skids, or pallets as they may be referred to, that you will be using for picking your order on. You may only use red or blue skids. I'm going to remove the pallet. And now it's ready for your pump truck. Pump trucks have levers on the inside of your handle. That lever must be down in order for your pump truck to rise up. You use the handles to pump it up. Squeezing that handle will drop it down. It must be in the drop down position in order to slide it into the pallet. And begin your pumping to raise your skid. Now that you have your skid, let's head over to the order desk and see what's in store for us. So agency orders are picked in 3 picking zones within the warehouse: the picking row, the cooler, and the freezer. Here is where we begin our picking process with getting the list, which is assigned to us. This is called the picking row desk. Once you've signed in, you will see shipping and inventory. So you're going to tap shipping. You are going to see the screen that indicates an agency of which you need to pick. You will tap agency screen, and what will come up is a list of what we call license plates, or LPs. You will choose a license plate, label, and you will choose the agency which you are going to pick for. It is very important to use pen on our day's end sheet and use markers to fill out our delivery sheets. On the order sheet, you will see dry picked, fresh picked, and frozen picked. These are the 3 areas or zones that you will be picking your order from. You will move down the orders of the agencies to one that is available for you to pick. The available one will not have an initial beside it. Under the initial column, you will put in your initial, indicating that you are picking for this agency. You will look to see whether your agency falls under the green border are deliveries, under the pink border are pickups, to pick which slip you will be using for your order to identify it. Under the order number, you will fill in the number that coincides with your agency. You will put in the name of the agency. You can use the short form FB to indicate food bank from your list. Indicate your pallet number and the date where the order will be going out, which will always be at the top of your sheet. Next, you will grab an LP or license plate number that you will use for your order. Above the LP number, you are going to put in your order number. You will remove the backing on the label and place the label on top of your delivery sheet. Pick up your scanner and scan your LP. That red line must span beyond the barcode. If it doesn't scan, do it again. Keep pulling back until you hear the beep. Hear that beep? You got it. Once you've scanned your LP, it's going to ask you for your agency's order number. Key in 111157, press enter, and you will see your agency name. Toggle down to that agency and press enter. Your 3 zones will appear. Disregard your OAFB zoning. You will not be using that. But there is your cooler, your freezer, and your pick row. We always start at the pick row. Toggle down to pick row and press enter. Voila, your order appears. Now that we have our agency, let's go get our pump truck. We have our pump truck. Now place your license plate on the front of the pump truck. And we're going to begin in the pick row. So now we're going to start collecting dry product from all the items on our list. These items we pick from these picking rows in the warehouse. Just follow the list on the scanner. You will see there are numbers up here on the shelving bay sections that indicate all the locations. It shows me in the location column that I have to go to is Q25. So here we are, and now I'm going to show you about scanning using the scanner. This screen tells me what I'm picking up, where it's located, and how many I'm picking up. We always scan the label, not the LP. Once scanned, it comes up, down at the bottom of the screen that it shows how many we need to take. In this case, it needs 1 of the quantity. Collect the quantity, put it on your skid or pallet, as it may be referred to. Press enter on the scanner twice to tell the system that you have collected the item. So we come to our location, and there is no label for us to scan. Should that happen, you simply go down to that item, highlight it. It indicates that there is quantity, so this is here. Enter it. It will now tell you how many you're to pick from it. Put in the number 2, enter twice, then I collect the item and take your order. You want to pack your skid so that all 4 corners are right square at the edge of the skid. Your goal is to have your skid very square. Have the edges all even and in line with the edge of the skid. You also want to maximize skid capacity within the limit of 1,200 pounds and also ensure to build a secure load with the heaviest items on the bottom. There is a way of laying out boxes on the skid so they fit without wasting space. We call it stacking patterns. Let me show you what I mean. It's very important when you're stacking your skid that you lay the boxes in such a way they're like bricklaying. Sitting over a divide between 2 boxes stabilizes your skid. Packing like this makes for a very stable skid for wrapping and delivery. When you become very astute at doing this, you start to recognize that certain boxes fill in certain spaces on your skid. So sometime you may get out of the rundown order on the scanner list and jump over to grab another item before the next one because it fits right on your skid. It's a bit like a Tetris game. If that happens, you still just follow the list until all the items are picked. So what happens when an item isn't available? Because we generally pick from the day before, if we don't find them where the location says they should be, it's not out here, can't find it anywhere, it may be somewhere else in the warehouse, and the Daily Bread staff needs to still move it into its location on the floor. The next day, they check through all the orders to make sure they are complete. The scanner will indicate the missing item, and the Daily Bread staff will add it to your skid. So here's an example where the item listed is not in the location. Then I have to check around and see if maybe it's in another location. So I've checked for this product somewhere else in another location and I can't find it. I will leave that for the Daily Bread staff to correct if need be. We like to have it all there, but sometimes the item isn't there. In some cases, an order goes out without an item because that item is simply not in the warehouse. And sometimes that does happen. And that's okay. When items are in the wrong location, come on, where are you? Don't fret. Check around, walk the aisle, and check for snack, the same product that is on your list. That ensures that if it has been put in a different location, you're still able to finish the order. Something else you may come across is when there's an insufficient quantity. In those incidences, you simply record how many you are going to be putting on your skid and press enter twice. Do not worry about the extra. They will be addressed by the Daily Bread staff the next day. So here's another situation you may encounter. I have an order from this skid and this is the last box. I will scan the label. Now I need to remove the label. And now you'll take the label and stick it on your handle for when you return to the order desk. Another useful tip is where you see a lot of plastic around a skid. You remove the plastic, make sure you take off the label on the plastic, the scanning label, place it back on the boxes, and remove the plastic. So here is something to pay attention to. This says D condiment, but the number beside it is 05. On your screen, it says 05 and 07. Understand that either of those can be chosen. When you have done the dry product picking, you can then come back to the picking row desk and under the dry column on the day's end sheet, log the number of skids containing dry product for that order and log out of stock items in the notes section on the day's end sheet. If there is a fresh product to now be picked on your list, then you will continue on to the cooler with your skid or pallet and scanner to select those items. If there is no fresh required, return to the day's end sheet and put a dash under the column fresh. Continue on to choose the next order and begin the process over again. So I've now finished picking all my dry products from the picking row and I'm now moving into the WO cooler. One thing to note, when the location on the scanner shows WO cool, that means it's outside of the cooler. So it means it's on the floor here in this area. Those things tend to be outside the cooler. They are part of your pick row. Another tip, if you go out of order and back to the pick row agency for any reason, you just have to rescan your LP or license plate barcode. Also, it's important when you move from the pick row into the cooler that you change your screen. You will bring it to the menu, hit cooler, press enter, and now your order will appear with its location. If you don't do this, the location column will show it as empty and you won't know where the location is for the items you need to pick. So here's an example where you see no locations. That means in order to find these products to complete your order, you need to go back to your menu and hit cooler. These products are in the cooler and their location will become apparent when you hit the cooler menu. So now that I have my list of locations, let's continue on to pick the fresh products on my list in the cooler. Just like we did in the pick row area, check the label, scan the label, it shows us we need one. We click enter twice. And remember, if this item is out of stock, it can be replenished the next day by the Daily Bread employee. Also, if you see CA floor on your screen, that means the skid is on the floor and not in a bay of the zone that you're picking from. Here's an example of CA floor. It is not in a bay. These are your bays. Once you finish in the cooler, it's time to go wrap the skid. So now I'm going to get this wrapped, and then I'm going to bring it back to the cooler to wait overnight for its delivery pickup. Generally we do 5 levels, no more than 1,200 pounds. When the skid is done, you take the LP, license plate label, off the skid and place it on the plastic centered in the skid to make sure the skid has the label information with it to be identified once parked in the cooler. I squeeze this handle and release the skid down. When you have done the fresh product picking in the cooler, you can then come back here to the picking row desk and under the fresh column on the day's end sheet, log the number of skids containing fresh product for that order and log out of stock items in the notes section at the day's end. Now it's time to select another skid for your freezer items on your list. Next, we're going to head into the freezer to pick the frozen items. So let's bundle up. Ready to go in the freezer. Frozen product is generally picked to a tote. A tote is approximately half a skid. All frozen items are picked within the freezer with the same picking process and following scanner's sequential order. Orders are loaded onto a tote, which is approximately half the skid. Each tote may contain 4 orders on the same skid. When placing your tote on an existing skid, make sure there's a space between your order and the next. Your label will identify your order. When all frozen items are picked under the frozen column on the day's end sheet, log the number of skids or totes containing frozen product for that order. Then log any out-of-stock items in the notes section of the day's end sheet and log the total number of skids in the total skid column. Make sure you circle the total number of skids. When you aren't sure about something and you need help, please do not hesitate to ask any of us here. We are always happy to help. So there you have it, the picking order process at the Daily Bread Food Bank. Thank you for joining me on this walkabout tour, and I hope it has been useful to you. We are thrilled to have you here to get the food out to those who need it. Without you, food would not go out. So thank you from all of us at the Daily Bread Food Bank. I look forward to seeing you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any of us. We are always happy to help. See you soon.